Baby Reindeer. Gee whiz, this show is taking the world by storm at the moment. It's a new limited series on Netflix that dropped almost 2 weeks ago, but has continued to rise higher and higher in popularity. The reviews of the show have been glowing, and so, in a time where I've been struggling to find new shows that aren't big studio-driven tentpoles, I thought I'd give this little 7-part series a shot. And oh boy, did it scratch that itch for personal storytelling that I've been so desperately attempting to scratch. Baby Reindeer is a series written by, created by, and starring Richard Gadd and follows Donnie, Gadd's character, as he catches the eye of serial stalker Martha Scott, a role which Jessica Gunning completely takes in her stride. But as Donnie attempts to escape Martha's grasp, he's forced to face the trauma of his past and come to terms with the search for his sexuality. The trauma in question here involves an act of sexual assault. I won't be diving overly deep into that, but I just thought it's worth disclaiming early on. I'm also going to be talking spoilers for the entirety of Baby Reindeer, so if you haven't watched the series yet, run off and binge it before you come back here. Spoiler alert, it's really freaking good. Also, g'day, my name's Aidan Green. I love movies and TV shows, and I especially love talking about them here on youtube.com, so if you fancy that, or if you fancy me, not in a stalker way obviously, why not consider subscribing to the channel, and feel free to chuck some film and TV recommendations down in the comments. I'm always looking for new things to watch and deliver content on. If you have any thoughts on Baby Reindeer, feel free to write them below too. Maybe I can react to them in a segment on a future video or something. I don't know. Content, man. Baby Reindeer. Now, friends, pals, amigos, don't be deceived. This ain't no holly jolly Christmas family fun. This is a series that, as I said before, delves into some really deep subject matter, dealing with themes of mental illness, sexuality, sexual assault, trauma, and obsession. In particular, the show emphasizes how those first 4 themes can lead to obsession, and the series highlights it as a form of distraction for both Donnie and Martha as they struggle to find their place in the world around them. But here's the boldest swing this series does. It has you look at the themes through the eyes of a comedian. Ha 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 ha. The show is based off of Gadd's real life experience dealing with those issues, and it shows. The way that this series balances humor and drama is simply perfect in a way that only can be accomplished by someone who has lived these experiences. Gadd knows when there's room for a joke, but he also doesn't swerve away from the severity of its heaviest subject matter, leaving comedy behind for long periods of time when more personal topics need to be emphasized. The lack of comedy in those moments make them all the more impactful. We'll come back to balance in a second, but I just need to hound home how deeply personal this series feels. Is it a big Netflix show? Yes. But does it feel deeply personal? Absolutely. Gadd's personal touch, being the series writer and star, really shows. A lot happens to Donnie over the course of Baby Reindeer, but each of these events are so carefully plotted out that you truly understand the ripple effects of these events. While on the surface it may sound like the series is biting off more than it can chew, delving full into the aforementioned themes across only 7, mostly 30-minute episodes, the reality of the series is that it interweaves them perfectly, all leading up to that final chilling scene. Could you sort of see it coming beforehand? Absolutely, but it doesn't make it any less chilling when you see that look on Donnie's face. We've seen that look before on someone else, you crafty buggers. My point is that I think a lot of writers would be scared to address so many important issues under such a short runtime, and many writers who would have a crack at it would fail to do them all justice. But Gadd's own experience with them seeps through. A single 5-second shot of his performance can replace a minute-long dialogue scene, and having lived all of it before, he knows how to weave these plotlines together in a way that impacts its audience. God, I can't wait to see what this guy does next. Just gonna pause for a second and say that if you're still watching, then this is your sign to subscribe to my channel. Alright, play on. I said earlier that balance is an important part of Baby Reindeer. I said it perfectly balances its tone. Episode 4 dictates Donnie's experience with grooming and sexual assault, perfectly showcasing this balance. This extended episode starts off all laughs, but slowly turns to something darker, mirroring Donnie's relationship with successful writer Darian, as what started as a fun and productive fling leads to some of Donnie's darkest days. But balance can also be applied to the show's characters. As Donnie begins to be stalked, you sympathize with him, but he's not perfect, far from that. The series balances his darker side with his charming side. They give you reasons to root for him, but also give you reasons to question him. As the series progresses, more information is given to us that gives us an understanding of why Donnie has made some of the decisions he has, ultimately giving the reindeer himself a whole new layer for audiences to sympathize with. The same goes for Martha, who, yes, during the middle of the series just goes absolutely nuts, but Baby Reindeer is bookended by performances from Jessica Gunning that leaves you once again feeling sympathetic for her despite her actions. Once again, as we're given more information about the character, their twisted actions begin to make more sense. Everyone has their own story, their own reason for being the way they are, and Baby Reindeer consistently reminds us of that. Getting both Donnie and Martha right as characters would have been a headache of a balancing act. Step too far with Donnie's mistakes and audiences will stop sympathizing with him, and equally, every bad move he makes needs to originate from some ghost of his past to give reasons for his actions. Meanwhile, to depict Martha in a realistic way, she needs to have moments where you sympathize with her, otherwise she'd fall into the trap of being a stereotypical crazy person, and it could even vilify mental illness, something that I think is really easy to do in these thriller shows. It's a balancing act at how much information Gad gives you versus how many bad decisions these characters make. The plot and characters unravel in a way that complements each other, you're drip-fed information in a way that not all shows get right. That final reveal of Martha, god damn, after everything, you still can't help but feel sorry for her in that moment. How goddamn crazy is that? That is an achievement in balance. Lastly, kind of unrelated, I just want to give a shout out to the series' production as a whole. It looks great, but not just in the way that most Netflix shows do. Its camera work is interesting, adding flow to montages and vulnerability to its more personal moments. The confession scene is a masterclass of this, there's some really impactful stuff in there. Meanwhile, the editing creates a pacing that conveys the passage of time in a way that never feels rushed, often working with some great camera techniques to do this. The editing also works with the writing, there's some jokes that only work because they edit, each facet of the production is intertwined, and that's what makes it such a polished production. And the sound design, from a thrilling score to the silence of an uncaptivated audience where you can hear that hum of stage lights, it's all perfect. The music supervision too is on point, with the music choices complementing each scene. It's all bloody great and adds to Donnie's transformation as a character. So Baby Reindeer, I keep going to call it Baby Driver, sorry if I did that at all in this video, although Baby Driver's freaking good too, so Baby Reindeer is actually perfect. I couldn't really fault it if I wanted to. There's so much great stuff that I can't squeeze it all into this video, but I do have to give a shout out to Neva Mau's performance as Terry. It's an important and integral role in the story that, you guessed it, balances being confident alongside a layer of vulnerability. Every performance in this series feels human, a task that's really hard to accomplish. Check out Baby Reindeer on Netflix if you haven't already. There's loads to dissect about it, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on the show. And subscribe if you haven't already. Also, sorry I've been a bit AFK lately. I had a big family event, so I took some time off for that, and then I was doing post-production on my short film. So yeah, that's my excuse, and now I'm gonna end this YouTube video. Goodbye.